The slap echoed through the Multnomah County courthouse like a gunshot. Agnes Scoggins' head snapped sideways, her cheek exploding in white-hot pain. The metallic taste of blood filled her mouth as she stumbled backward, her hands instinctively clutching her pregnant belly. 22 weeks, a baby girl she'd already named Hope. Hey everyone, excited to share today's story. Subscribe, comment, and catch tomorrow's. You lying bitch! Kenneth Biss's voice thundered through the Portland courtroom, his $5,000 suit jacket flaring as he lunged forward again. You think you can take half of everything I built? Gasps erupted. The bailiff rushed forward, but Agnes had already crumpled to the floor, her body folding protectively around her unborn child. Warm liquid trickled down her thigh. Not blood. Please, God, not blood. Mr. Biss stepped back. A voice sharp, female, furious, cut through the chaos. Agnes looked up through blurred vision at the judge's bench, where a woman in black robes stood frozen, her dark eyes locked on Kenneth with an expression Agnes couldn't decipher. Recognition, horror, rage. Judge Octavia Merriweather's gavel crashed down like thunder. Bailiff, restrain that man immediately. Agnes pressed her palm against the cold courtroom floor, trying to breathe through the pain radiating across her face. Her other hand remained locked around her belly, feeling for movement. There, a flutter. Thank God, thank God. She'd met Kenneth 3 years ago at a charity gala in downtown Portland's Pearl District. He'd been magnetic, a self-made millionaire who'd built a tech startup from nothing, who'd promised her the world. They'd married within 6 months at Pittock Mansion overlooking the city lights. The lies started small. Late nights at the office, unexplained charges. Then came the cruelty, the verbal attacks, the control, the isolation from her family in Salem. When she'd finally hired a divorce attorney, she'd discovered the truth. Margot Thibault, a 24-year-old business consultant living in a luxury condo Kenneth paid for. Now Agnes watched as 2 bailiffs wrestled Kenneth into handcuffs, his face twisted with contempt. Judge Merriweather descended from the bench, her expression unreadable. Get her a medic, now. The paramedic, a kind-faced woman named Darlene, checked Agnes's vitals while the courtroom buzzed with shocked whispers. Kenneth stood against the wall in handcuffs, his lawyer whispering urgently in his ear. Baby's heartbeat is strong, Darlene said softly, squeezing Agnes's hand, but you need to get checked at OHSU Hospital. Judge Merriweather knelt beside Agnes, and that's when Agnes saw it. The small scar above the judge's left eyebrow, the distinctive birthmark on her wrist shaped like a crescent moon. Impossible! Octavia? Agnes whispered, her voice breaking. Octavia Scoggin? The judge's composure cracked. Tears filled her eyes. It's Merriweather now. I took my husband's name. Agnes's world tilted. Her cousin, the girl she'd grown up with in Salem, who'd disappeared to law school 15 years ago, who'd cut ties with the family after some unspoken tragedy. He doesn't know, Octavia said quietly, her eyes flicking toward Kenneth. He has no idea who I am. Agnes's heart pounded. Then he doesn't know what you're capable of. Some family bonds run deeper than blood. They run through scars, through survival, through the silent promise that no matter how many years pass, you don't abandon your own. If you've ever had someone show up when you needed them most, you understand what happened in that courtroom wasn't just justice, it was reckoning. Judge Merriweather stood, her judicial mask sliding back into place. This court is in recess for 1 hour. Mr. Biss, you'll remain in custody. Bailiff, escort Mrs. Scoggin to my chambers. Kenneth's face went purple. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. You just physically assaulted a pregnant woman in my courtroom, Mr. Biss. I suggest you remain silent before I add more charges. In the judge's chambers, Agnes collapsed into a leather chair, her body shaking. Octavia locked the door and immediately dropped to her knees, examining Agnes's face with trembling fingers. I'm so sorry, Octavia whispered. I didn't know it was you until you walked in. I recused myself from 50 cases this year, but your last name, you changed it when you married him. Why did you leave? Agnes asked, the question she'd carried for 15 years finally escaping.
Octavia's jaw tightened. Because Roland wasn't the man everyone thought he was, and neither is your husband. Octavia walked to her desk, pulling out a locked file drawer. She extracted a folder marked Confidential and placed it in Agnes's hands. 3 months ago, a woman named Everly Dashwood filed a restraining order against Kenneth Bissett in Washington County. She withdrew it 2 days later. He paid her $50,000. Octavia's voice was ice. Before her, there was Simone Ketchum in 2019. Before that, a college student named Bryony Ives. Agnes's hand shook as she flipped through the pages. Hospital records, police reports, photos of bruised faces, broken ribs, all buried under non-disclosure agreements and cash settlements. "He has a pattern," Octavia said. "Charming, wealthy, untouchable, just like Roland." Agnes looked up sharply. "What did Uncle Roland do to you?" Octavia's eyes were hollow. "What he did to me doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that Kenneth doesn't walk away from what he did to you today. But Agnes, I can't be your judge. If he discovers we're related, everything gets thrown out." "Then we don't tell him," Agnes said, steel entering her voice. Court reconvened 30 minutes later. Kenneth's attorney, a shark named Bradford Culpepper, immediately filed a motion to dismiss based on judicial bias, claiming Judge Merriweather had shown prejudice by personally attending to the plaintiff. "Your Honor showed basic human decency," Agnes's attorney, a fierce woman named Zelda Pritchard, countered, "something Mr. Bissett clearly lacks." But the damage was spreading. Kenneth's private investigator had started digging. By the afternoon recess, whispers circulated that the judge had a personal interest in the case. In the courthouse bathroom, Agnes splashed cold water on her swollen face and felt her daughter kick, harder this time, as if sensing her mother's fear. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Drop the divorce or I'll make sure you never see that baby. I have lawyers who can prove you're unfit. Try me." Agnes's knees buckled. She slid down the tile wall, sobbing. The bathroom door opened. Octavia stepped inside. "He threatened you," Octavia said, her voice deadly calm. Agnes nodded, showing him the text. Octavia's expression hardened into something Agnes had never seen before. Pure, calculated fury. "I'm recusing myself," Octavia said, "but not for the reason he thinks." "What? No!" "Listen to me," Octavia gripped Agnes's shoulders. "I'm recusing myself so I can testify as a witness." Agnes's breath caught. "Witness to what?" 15 years ago, Roland didn't die of a heart attack like everyone believed. He died because I finally fought back." Octavia's voice cracked. "Kenneth has the same medical records, the same pattern, the same private doctor who helps men like them cover their tracks. Dr. Wendell Haverford. I've been building a case against Haverford for 2 years. She pulled out her phone, showing Agnes a database of names. Dozens of women, all connected to wealthy men, all treated by the same concierge physician who documented injuries as accidents. Kenneth made one mistake today. He hit you in front of witnesses, in front of me, and I'm done staying quiet." The emergency hearing 3 days later packed the courtroom. A new judge, the Honorable Thaddeus Crane, presided, but Octavia Merriweather sat in the witness stand, no longer wearing robes. 15 years ago, Octavia testified, her voice steady, "my Uncle Roland Scoggin abused me for 3 years. Dr. Wendell Haverford treated my injuries and documented them as self-inflicted accidents. When I finally pressed charges, Roland's wealth made everything disappear, except the guilt that killed him 6 months later." She turned to face Kenneth directly. "I recognize your patterns, Mr. Bissett, because I lived them. And when I became a judge, I made it my mission to ensure no man like you ever silences another woman again." Kenneth's face drained of color as federal agents entered the courtroom. "Wendell Haverford has been arrested for medical fraud and obstruction of justice," Octavia continued. "His patient files document 17 years of covering up domestic violence for wealthy clients, including you." Bradford Culpepper stood. "Your Honor, your client is going to prison," Judge Crane said. "Bailiff, take him into custody." 6 months later, Agnes stood in the nursery of her new apartment in Northwest Portland. Nothing fancy, but it was hers. Sunlight streamed through the windows overlooking Forest Park. Hope Octavia Scoggin, she dropped Kenneth's name entirely, slept peacefully in her bassinet, her tiny fingers curled into fists. Kenneth was serving 8 years for assault, witness intimidation, and conspiracy. Margot Thibault had testified against him in exchange for immunity, revealing a network of coerced women he'd controlled through money and fear. Dr. Haverford faced federal charges. 17 women had come forward. A knock at the door. Octavia entered carrying coffee and pastries from the bakery downstairs. She'd resigned from the bench to start a non-profit, Witnesses Rising, dedicated to helping abuse survivors navigate the legal system. "She has your eyes," Octavia said softly, gazing at baby Hope. Agnes took her cousin's hand. "She has our strength." Outside, Portland stretched before them, a city of rain and resilience, where 2 women had learned that family wasn't just blood, it was the choice to show up, to fight back, to never let silence win. Every survivor who speaks up breaks a chain that's held someone else captive. Every witness who refuses to look away becomes part of someone's freedom story. This isn't just about one woman or one courtroom. It's about every person who's ever had to choose between staying safe and staying silent. If this story found you today, maybe it's because you needed to know. You're not alone, and your voice matters more than you know.
Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed the story. There are plenty more amazing stories coming your way, so don't stop here. Just click on the video showing on your screen and keep watching. I'll see you there.